Regardless of the diet you are following, sugar is enemy number one. Are you up for going sugar-free in 2020? In this video, we will share the challenge we have in mind for you, why you want to follow that challenge, and some practical ways for you to get your life to be sugar-free. So, obviously, weight loss is a big reason for wanting to go sugar-free. And sugar is the biggest diet destroyer, right? And that has so much to do with insulin, right? We talk about this all the time on our channel. I'll just go ahead and go on it, right? So,
yeah, go ahead.
Sugar causes a spike in your blood sugar, which causes a spike in insulin. Insulin is the fat storing hormone. So when you are in fat storage mode, you are not in fat release mode. You know, when you constantly feed yourself sugar, you are a really good fat maker, not so good at pulling it out. So right off the bat, you know, there's a prime reason to give up sugar, but it's more than just weight. It is absolutely health. And we could go on for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours on the health implications of eating too much sugar. Cardiovascular health, for one.
Right. So, and there's a fairly recent study that actually showed sugar-sweetened beverages, and of course they shortened that to SSBs. Every study kind of does their thing, right? So sugar-sweetened beverages, they found, has a direct impact on atherosclerosis, or, you know, narrowing of your arteries, even in young people. So, you know, you take a look at, you know, not just, you know, sodas or whatever, but you've also got energy drinks, you've got the juice boxes that little kids, you know. So we're starting these kids out drinking sugar-sweetened beverages right from, you know, 2 years old.
Right, and I don't know if that was on specifically high fructose corn syrup, but high fructose corn syrup we see in sodas, but we also see that in some kids' drinks. I think Sunny D might. I hate to call it. It wasn't. But these are drinks that are geared toward kids, and fatty liver disease is highly related to our high intake of high fructose corn syrup. The one study that I had presented on my other channel was that 10%, up to 10% of our children are thought to have fatty liver disease. That is something that we wouldn't see in children, but the reason is because they're consuming all of this high fructose corn syrup in the form of sodas and sugary drinks.
It's getting to the point of ridiculousness, and you know, we really have to take some steps and be aware and start fighting back against this.
Yeah, the challenge of that, of course, is that sugar is an addictive substance. Yeah. And you were telling me about.
And we'll throw the links to these studies. And honestly, I mean, if you look at sugar addiction, I mean, there is just a ton of research. This is not something that's just like new. You know, this study that the one that we're going to show on here, I mean, it shows that, you know, sugar stimulates the same part of the brain that cocaine does. You know, so sugar can be, and it can be even more addictive than cocaine. You have the same symptoms of craving, withdrawal, you know, addiction, all these things with sugar that you would have with cocaine.
Yeah, well, and that's the nucleus accumbens, I'm assuming, is and dopamine.
You and your sciencey stuff.
So when we do take in sugar, we do get a release of a feel-good chemical called dopamine that acts on this area of our brain referred to as the pleasure center. So, you know, there's no shame in like loving the taste of sugar. I mean, I think it tastes fantastic, right? I don't indulge in it, but because it is addictive. Yeah. But there's no shame in it because it is actually acting on your brain. And the challenge with it is that as we continue to eat it, so every day, a couple of times a day, we're giving ourselves this hit of high intensity sweetness. That area of the brain, the receptors for the dopamine actually lose their sensitivity to that. And what that means for you is that you now have to eat more sugar to get that same really good feeling. And that just builds and builds the addiction.
It's just like taking a drug, and you need more and more of that drug to get that same sense of you know, high or whatever.
Yeah. So there's the brain chemistry element of the addiction, but we also have the challenges that it actually deadens the taste buds. And there was a study done to try to determine if you can actually lose your taste for sugar, which I thought was kind of interesting. And what they did in this study is they took a group of participants and they put half of the group on a 3-month sugar-free diet, I believe it was, and then the other group was just the control. They just ate as they normally had, and then they would bring these people in at month intervals, and they would feed them sweetened pudding. And what they found was after the first month, the sugar-free people and the regular normal eaters, the control group, they rated the sweetness of the pudding the same. The second month, starting in the second month, the people that had been on the low sugar diet actually rated the sweetness of the pudding stronger. And what that means is you can lose your desire for the intense sweetness and essentially lose your taste for sugar. The caveat is that it takes at least a month of being sugar-free. So hence our challenge, right? Maddie, you want to take it? We are challenging you to do 1 month sugar-free in 2020.
Right. And I would like to throw out that, in the comments below these videos, the people that we talk to face to face, many of my patients, when, they want to know like what we do, how I lost weight, these types of questions. And of course, I follow a keto, we're doing more keto, low carb, but this goes for any diet,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And I tell them, the first thing I have to do is cut out sugar, and then work from that point. Well, that is usually a stopping point for most of these people. Oh, I don't think I could give up my carbs. But, I did it.
Yeah.
You did
well,
it.
And I will tell you, when I first got started here on YouTube, I was so coy about saying you got to give up sugar because I was afraid of the backlash because we got it so much in face-to-face interactions. Because it's like you're taking away my sugar, and I was totally the same way. Absolutely. I mean, if you would have said to me 20 years ago that I would be leading a sugar-free life, I would have said no way. It would be on my mind when I woke up in the morning. It would be on my mind when I went to bed at night. What am I going to eat tomorrow? What do I get to eat tomorrow?
You were an addict.
I was absolutely an addict. Like I say,
well, I was too, but
I was an addict, and I have the cavities to prove it. That's always my favorite line. But we are living proof that you can, and we'll still have sugar at special occasions, but it's not that addictive nature anymore. You can move past that. So we wanted to give you a couple of practical tips as well that have worked for us, worked for people in our coaching programs, and things of that sort. And I do want to, before we get into that, I do want to mention that there is a cruel joke to giving up sugar, and that is withdrawal symptoms. They are just a reality. I mean, this is truly a drug. So when you give up sugar, you will experience a few days where you are not feeling on top of your game. And it really depends on how drastically you're changing your diet. But you can experience headaches. You can experience pretty bad fatigue, just a general ill feeling. So you do have to be ready for that when you give up sugar. Right.
And we should talk a little bit about giving up sugar, is that you really have to be looking for all the hidden sugars and the little traps, right?
Right. Yeah. So here's a couple of examples, right? What we discuss as zero sugar, so you kind of have the rule, is that sugar should not be one of the top 3 ingredients. And if you don't have my 0, 1, 2, 3 challenge, we'll point you to that. That's a good way to get off. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. But the first rule is zero sugar. Now, what you have to watch out for is you don't want it in the first 3 ingredients, but manufacturers are sneaky, right? So they'll put multiple sugars into a food so they can be farther down on the list, right? So your ingredients are the most prevalent by volume, weight, are the first ingredients listed. So, when you put 3 different sugars.
Yeah.
So
you bundle those 3 sugars. If you called all 3 of those sugar and bundle them together, they'd be much higher on the list.
Yeah. So you'll move it up, right? This is a prime example. So Keith and I were at the grocery store and we saw this. So we got it because, it just looks very wholesome. It's
Good
made
marketing.
from fresh apples,
Yeah.
and it is actually made from fresh apples. Apples are the top ingredient in this food, but then it's followed by 3 vegetable oils. We talked about vegetable oils not being healthy on here before, and then it's followed by 3 sugars. So we've got the apples, the 3 oils, and then we've got corn syrup, sugar, and dextrose.
All 3 just different types of sugar and different names for sugar.
Right. That's another challenge, right? So
Yeah.
there is a list of sugars. So dextrose,
Right.
maltodextrin,
Glucose, sucrose, fructose.
fruit juice concentrate is a big
Yeah,
one.
I mean.
Yeah, the list goes on and on. So it is, I don't want to make you feel frustrated. Maybe we can list some of the more common ones under the video here. But it is something, it's a sneaky thing to look out for. And sometimes you might get fooled.
This one
Yeah, so
blows me away.
Yeah, so here's a salad dressing, right? So we equate salad with being healthy, which it is generally. Top ingredient is high fructose corn syrup.
This is mostly sugar.
Yeah,
It's more sugar than anything else.
yeah. It's a challenge. Condiments are also something. You just have to start being an investigator. You have to start looking on the list. These both have high fructose corn syrup, pretty darn high up on their list as well. So those are just a few examples. So one of the things that I think helps a lot of people that I've helped get into a sugar-free life is this little concept. It is add before you subtract, or add as you're subtracting the sugar. We tend to think, okay, I'm going to do the challenge, I'm giving up sugar. And then you start looking through your pantry and you realize how many things have sugar in them that you have to now give up. If you don't have a plan of action in order to add something that's going to keep you satisfied and help keep those withdrawal symptoms under control, then you're going to have some challenges. So add before you subtract. What do you add? High volume foods and healthy fats. And so here too, if you don't have my 0, 1, 2, 3 strategy, that is a way of getting sugar out of your diet and getting high volume foods, specifically vegetables, into your day.
Right. And you had recently done a video on the 500 calorie salad.
Yeah. Which is a salad that's high in volume and it's got loads of healthy fats on it. I'll point to that as well.
And you can have that every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so both of those elements are going to be very satisfying. The high volume is going to fill up your stomach and keep you satisfied and take a long time to digest and break down. So you're going to be working through that, keeping hunger away. The healthy fats, very hunger satiating. All right, so there you go. There is the challenge. What we would like you to do is let us know if you're in the comments below.
Seriously, just put "I'm in."
Yep, that's all you have to do. But that public call out can be very, very powerful. If you do, you know what? It is well worth it, and you'll be so proud of yourself after a month. And if you fall off the wagon, get right back on track. You won't care at the end of the month. Just keep going. So we hope to see a lot of I'm ins down below. Thanks so much for watching, and we will be back next week with a new video.
We'll see you next week. All right. Old fart glasses off.
Maddie, ready?